Hey, hey guys, welcome to the show. How are you guys doing today? Today we have a special show based on open enrollment, which is very, very important.
That
Open
sounds good.
enrollment, if you miss it, you might be paying more than you should. Today, my special co host, the expert on benefits, is going to give us a little enlightenment as to what we need to do um, in the time of open enrollment, getting our benefits together, getting our packages together, getting our healthcare set up. So, guys, just one note. Please like and subscribe to the our YouTube channel and also hit that notification bell, bing, so that any new episodes that we have, you will be notified instantly. Or any upcoming shows we have, you'll also be notified when those shows will be dropping. So, guys, here is the intro that you've all been waiting for. Woo! Welcome, guys. Welcome to the show. And I was picking my nice little soft voice tonight because I want to pay very close attention to what Alessandra is saying. Because
Phew.
I am one of those persons who I do not pay that much attention to my open enrollment options.
To the
So I
chances.
need some clarification on what I'm doing wrong and what I'm doing right and where I need to put my money. Because every year or every pay period, I'm seeing taxes, I'm seeing benefits, and I'm like, where's all this money going? I need some kind of explanation. Like, am I paying too much, too little? Like, what's good? I just need a little clarification, and we need to bring you guys a little clarification on what you guys are actually paying for every year in open enrollment. So, Alessandra, how are you tonight?
Yes. Happy Wednesday. I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing excellent. So, yeah, let me ask a little clarifying question. How long is the open enrollment window?
So the open enrollment window is going to vary by facility, by site, by company. But typically it happens around this time of the year. So late October into mid to late November is when you'll typically see your departments and your hospitals opening up what they call the open enrollment period. So I'm excited to talk to you guys about this tonight because, especially as a manager, it's something that I've navigated with my staff quite often. But I do want to recommend that if you have questions about your specific benefits, that you go to your human resources specialist and talk with them because they can absolutely guide you and help you make the best possible choices for yourself and for your family.
Yeah, we definitely want you guys to be
Yeah.
better informed as to the decisions you're making. This is why we're bringing this show to you. It may seem like, oh my God, during orientation I didn't want to hear it, but now that you have the job and you're spending the money, you need to understand where the money is going. If you have an injury, if you need to go on long-term disability, etc. If you have dependents, you need to know how to better take care of yourself and your family. So, Alessandro, can
Absolutely.
you help us with some of the options in the
Yes.
open enrollment session?
So, a couple of special things about open enrollment. You definitely want to pay attention to when it starts and the deadline for when it ends. And usually they will even have it down to the time. So it may say, open enrollment ends on November 16th at 7 p.m. So pay attention to those deadlines because once you miss them, there can be a couple things that happens. You may be enrolled in all the basic benefit plans that your facility provides, whether or not you feel like you need them. They may automatically enroll you, and then you'll be paying some monthly premiums. You may also, if you've already selected benefits in that facility, and let's say this is your second year going through an open enrollment period and you don't make any selections, what will happen is the process will default back to the last selections that you made. So if anything has changed for you within that time span, you've now missed the window to make adjustments to your plans. And when we're talking about open enrollment and benefits right now, we're talking about your health insurance benefits, which may come in the form of HMOs and PPOs, as
Okay,
well as your
hold up. I mean, HOSPILMNO.
cool,
Like,
yes.
what does that mean? Like, like
All
I don't
right.
know what's the difference between an MO or NO or PO. Like, what's this? I know purchase order. What are you saying?
Not purchase order,
Okay, what are you talking
not
about?
purchase order. So I'm not gonna even drill so far down into the exact definitions because I don't want folks to get confused. And I want to speak to the text the way that the text speak to each other about benefits. So PPO is typically that product that you're gonna buy that we call the more expensive plan. It's typically the one that costs a little bit higher than the HMO plan. And what the PPO plan offers for you is that you're able to see anybody that is offering services typically. There's not as many boundaries on what physicians, what type of care you can receive within your PPO versus your HMO. During your HMO process, it's typically cheaper because you have a select group of physicians and medical groups and clinics that have already worked together to drill down what their pricing schedule is going to be. And you actually have to do things like get referrals to see specialists and things of that nature. So the difference between HMO and PPO and costs come from that difference in their nature. And you really want to evaluate your personal self and whoever you're covering as to whether or not the HMO or the PPO is going to be better for you. Now, I see my young techs when they come in, they usually just see the cheaper option, so they go with HMO. But they may have some pre-existing conditions or things that they need to tend to more often throughout the year, where a PPO plan might be more beneficial to them.
So, let me ask you. Now, I go in there, I look at my check, right? So, as teleprocessing professionals, we really don't get paid that much, right? So,
Right?
I'm trying to get more money to take home, right?
Exactly.
So, that's where I think a lot of us fall into the trap. Like, I don't want to pay $100 every pay for all this stuff I might never use.
Absolutely.
So,
But here's the
how
thing with benefits, you
mhm.
don't know all the time when you're going to need them. And it can seem like the financially advantageous thing to do to skip them because for us, we're looking at it as okay, the cost of this thing is not coming out of our check every 2 weeks or every week. But the downside could end up being that you get into a situation where you need a lot of care or you need some type of specialized care. And because you've skipped, offering that to yourself, you now have to come out of pocket a lot more than what you were planning on.
All
And I
right.
think short term and long term disability show that often.
Yeah, but okay. I just finished my sterile processing course. I'm a young guy. I'm in my 20s. I'm healthy. I feel good. Why am I paying for this long term disability, all this extra insurance? Why am I paying for that? I'm good. I'm healthy. I'm young. I just started this job. I want some money in my pocket. I did an internship for 400 hours. Why am I taking this stuff when I trying to get paid after all these sacrifices?
Absolutely. So, with the question specifically around short term and long term disability, this is one that I see my staff skip often because they assume, okay, I don't have a disability, so I don't need to pay for this. And oftentimes they can seem relatively cheap. It may only be a couple of dollars for each plan. So it's like, oh, it's not that much, so I'm going to skip it. If we're coming into that space and we're young and healthy and nothing's wrong with us, again, we're not buying the benefits because of where we are today and only today. We're buying them for the future. So let's say that you are that new tech, you're coming into this highly complex job space, you have a workplace injury. Your short term and your long term disability, what it offers to you is actually income protection. So now that you are unable to work and you have to take some time off, and let's be mindful, especially during burnout right now. A lot of times with short term and long term disability, the types of leaves that we see employees taking are mental health leaves, pregnancy leaves. We have accidents, and then actually cancer is one of the other highest ones that we see staff members needing these services for. And so, what the disability insurance provides is a portion of your pay guaranteed to you. So short term will do that in a matter of months. So typically that might be a range of 3 to 6 months. And this is where you again you really want to pay attention to all that. I know it's a lot of paperwork to read through, but you want to pay attention to what the time span is on that. So like let's say I go outside and I fall and I break my leg and I'm in a cast for 2 months. Excuse me, short term disability will help cover part of my income. Now let's say
Hmm.
that that injury goes on to become more serious and I it takes me a year to recover. After my short term disability runs out, my long term disability will kick in. You may also see some changes in the percentage of pay that they offer. So, short term, I think will go up to about 70% of a um, replacement in income based on your facility. Could be also as low as I've seen it, like 50, 60%. And then long term disability will typically be a little bit lower. The other really important thing that I want everybody to pay attention to about disability, short term and long term, is that you have what they call an elimination period. So after you become injured, it's not just that you turn the paperwork in and then all of a sudden you're getting your disability checks. There's an elimination period where you have to submit documentation, your medical team submits documentation, and it has to go through an approval process. And that can take upwards to 90 days. And I don't have to tell you guys during the pandemic, it could be even longer. That you're not being paid during that time. You're actually waiting for your paperwork to be processed. So even if you enroll in all of these benefit plans, you still need to be prepared to cover your income for at least 90 days in case something happens to you and you're not able to work.
So basically, what you're saying is, doesn't matter your health situation currently, your benefits are basically is a safety blanket preparing you for a worst case scenario.
For anything that can happen to you and whoever you're covering. So, if you have kids, this is maybe things you want to think about. If your kid is in an accident or has an illness, you may have to be out with them and you can't work. These are all things you have to think about. Even for me personally, this is taking place with my mom right now, and it was really even for me. I had to, ask a lot of questions about what type of benefits and what kind of health plans and things of that nature that she's enrolled in, so that I know exactly what she has to offer herself. And these companies, I mean, part of the big draw of getting jobs in healthcare is the benefits. So don't leave things on the table that could potentially help you or your family.
Yes, and also, let me add to that. Please inquire about your benefits during the interview process. That's also very important, especially if you have multiple offers or multiple interviews. You want to pick the right choice. Um, for one, the cost of your benefits could definitely affect how much money you take home. And two, based on the quality of benefits, it may be cheaper, but you want to look at the quality may benefit you more in long term, because we know cell processing is a high risk, um, low reward in some cases,
Ah,
industry. So you want to make sure, when standing in decontamination or within a department for long periods of time, lifting and pushing transport carts, case carts,
yes.
temperature conditions in decontam, or sometimes even cool conditions. Some people can't tolerate those. And as you just want to make sure, in the event you get a puncture in decontam with a syringe or instrument, anything could happen, especially
Mhm.
in our line of work. So you want to make
In
sure that.
and out of work, you could get into a car accident. I mean, there's so many things that could happen, and you just want to have the protections there because you would much rather be able to call them up and say, okay, activate my benefits than to say, what, oh my God, I don't have this, I don't have that. What am I going to
Mhm.
do?
True. So very true. So Alessandra, could you break it down for us a little bit? Okay. And I want to know, basically, can you break it down like those eye options for me? Because I'm 2020. Like, I could see very well. Like, I know, like, I'm good. So um why would I take that eye package if I'm all right? Like, why would I do that? Why would I pay for that every month if I have no symptoms of any eye issues? Like, you know,
So
educate me on
again,
that.
I'm a big proponent of taking all the benefits that are available to you. You typically will get a dental package offered, and you'll get an eye care package offered. But again, that being said, if you don't have, like for instance, for myself, I have to maintain my prescription, so I'm always looking for where the eye benefits are at. And the dental and the eye benefits will be offered just like the health insurance, in the sense that there will be a PPO option and there will be an HMO option. So it'll be one that's typically a little bit pricier than the other. One of the nice things about it is that typically the benefits will have a side by side comparison of the plans. So you can see what the numerical differences are going to be in things like buying prescriptions, or for instance, with eye care, you may have a higher price for your visit, or your frames, or your lenses, things like that. And then with dental, there may be a basic care package for your preventative dental work, versus if you know you're going to need fillings and crowns and things of that nature. So just take a look at those guys and really spend some time with it. I do find that oftentimes people will forget about open enrollment, and then they get down to the last minute and it's just not enough time to try to do a deep dive into this information.
All right. So, guys, we're going to take a little break and we'll come back. Alessandra will tell us and break down life insurance for us, which is very important. We need to know in case something happens to you, what's going on, you know? Um, we're gonna be right back with some info on life insurance. So, but first, guys, once again, yes, guys, welcome back. Today, we're talking about our healthcare options. Alessandra is breaking some stuff down for me. I did not know about um, my insurance packages, and then now she's gonna break down life insurance for me. So, tell me about this life insurance thing, because I'm not dying anytime soon. Why am I paying for life insurance? Like, what's the purpose of paying for life insurance?
Ah,
Especially new young techs coming into the industry, like 22, 23,
stop
24,
that.
25. Why are they
That's the
even
first
circling that
thing.
option?
That's the first thing I need them to stop. Stop that. Just because you're young does not mean you're immune to having accidents, illness, and death. I mean, we don't want to, speak about it morbidly, but we just saw a catastrophic event for young people at the Astro World concert for Travis Scott. Everybody that lost their life was under the age of 30. They were, I believe, most of them were under the age of 25, if I'm not mistaken. And these were kids that were at a concert having a good time. They weren't planning to not come home. And if that many people actually lost their lives, I'm sure there were more young people that were hurt physically and mentally, and they were not able to come back to work like they had planned. Usually when we're young, wild, and free, we make a plan for the weekend. We take Friday off, or we leave work after we leave, on Friday night after work, and we go for the weekend. And we're planning on coming back to work on Monday. We have no plans of not being able to do that job on Monday morning, and we have no plans on how we're going to pay our rent if we can't go back to work on Monday morning. So, the first thing I would highly suggest is just take that mindset off of out. Just because you're young doesn't mean that you're immune from having accidents. This stuff is important for everyone.
Yeah. Let me segue into something else real quick. So we're talking about benefits. Like, how do that? And I know you're probably gonna have a smile on your face when I see that. So, how do benefits affect travelers?
So benefits affect travelers, almost the same way that it affects staff, in the sense that um, you, depending on your company, you'll have a benefits package offered to you. Now, one thing I will say that can be different for travelers is that because you're not at a specific facility, sometimes the travel companies themselves don't offer these things. But I'm finding more and more, especially as traveling picks up for sterile processing techs, usually they're offering something, and it's usually at least the basic health insurance, 401k, tuition reimbursement, things of that nature.
Interesting. So travel agencies actually provide health because that was a little taboo.
Some,
Oh yeah, that was a little taboo
some.
at first where the
Sometimes the travelers have to find their private insurance for themselves.
insurance, yeah, because that was a
Hmm.
big discouragement for me at coming into the field for traveling. I was like, I don't want to pay more for health insurance. It would end up being a wash based on the higher salary I'm getting
Absolutely.
from traveling plus the health insurance. And then you could try and wing it, but you never know what
I
could
was
happen
just
to
about
you.
to say some people be trying to wing it, and buddy, the last place you want to be is in the middle of somewhere you don't have no people and you don't have no resources. I
So
remember
true.
when I took my first travel contract, that was one of the main reasons why I went with them. And what they weren't offering a really high rate of pay. It was higher than what I left, but it wasn't very high for travel companies. But
Mm-hmm.
they offered things like finding housing, and they offered health insurance that started on the first day of work.
Mm.
That's something else to consider too. Is sometimes depending on your plans or your company, your plans may start the first day of work, but they may also start the first day of the month that after you start, or there may be at the next 2 weeks, or then so you want to take a look at that because sometimes we think, oh, I got the job and now I got the benefits. It might be upwards to another 30 days before you have access to that.
Hmm. Yeah, thanks for yeah, so thanks for encouraging our traveling people to definitely.
Yes,
I
sir.
know sometimes it's a quick, hey, I want to do this 13-week gig, cash in, fix the roof, do this, send my kid to
Yes.
school, and then you're not you're not invested in the benefits.
Stay
But it's
insured.
definitely a risky endeavor to do that, especially if you go into somewhere you know nothing about. Now, if
Yes.
it's a facility within your area and you kind of your family's around, you have that safety blanket. But if you go in a cross country, um, somewhere you're not familiar with, it's important to keep your benefits or subscribe to new benefits when you're traveling if you don't have any.
Yes. And I mean, and with the life insurance question, it's just I have the same answer that I have for health insurance, the dental, the eye, whatever's really optional for you. Take at least the basic plan. Again, we don't like to think about the fact that we may pass away or that these things are going to happen, and we also financially don't take into consideration the cost of that. So while I may my past, there's still going to be costs associated for my family to do my funeral services, maybe close out any financial obligations I had. So having that insurance or that life insurance plan on deck can be really a pivotal thing for your friends and family that are left behind. And you get several options actually to choose how much you want in life insurance. And so you're able to select that based on what you want to pay. So don't think that it's cost prohibitive. A lot of times we're talking about a couple dollars out of your check every month. We're not talking about hundreds of dollars out of your check every month like we will be for things like health insurance can be that expensive. But usually, like eye, dental, life insurance
Hmm.
are pennies on the dollar.
Definitely, they are cheap. Just to piggyback off what you're saying, the investment is definitely worth it. So, question.
Oh, and one more thing with that,
Uh huh. Uh huh.
you typically don't have to qualify for that life insurance. You being an employee is enough for you to get it. Whereas with other life insurance plans, you may have to submit to like a medical exam and show that you don't have pre-existing conditions, things of that nature. With the benefits that are provided by the hospital, you don't typically have to qualify for some of the ranges.
Interesting. How good? How important is it to select the right sponsor or the right dependent? Sorry, the right dependent for your benefits. How would one go about deciding who? If it's my mother, my wife,
You
my
ain't about to get me in
stepchild.
trouble.
Right. Oh no. How would you? No. How would you like? What would be the easiest? Because I know there are some legal aspects to that too. Who gets what and who's eligible to get certain things. So
Yeah.
if someone's coming and making that decision, will your mother get it before your wife, or will your kid get it before your wife, or is there a hierarchy or some? some way
So
in
there's
determining it?
not a legally defined hierarchy when you're selecting your who you want your dependents to be, if that's the question that you're asking.
Yeah, yeah.
Now personally, I'm not offering any advice, financial advice or anything like that. Just
Yeah,
talking
we're
about
not.
things that we've seen in the field. But that's a really personal decision. And I would just say that, of course, you want to make sure that it's a person that you trust. That could be your husband, could be your mother. It could be all kinds of things. People have different type of relationships. But I think the
Mhm.
other important thing around that is just making sure your documentation is in order. Have things like a will or a power of attorney that are on file. And because we work in a hospital, those are typically some free services that we can go take a part of and at least get a basic will, basic power of attorney on file for ourselves.
Yeah, guys, and you're getting this info directly from the process. So, guys, you probably knew this stuff already, but we're just emphasizing it to actually go do it. It's important that you do this because there will come a point where you'll look back and say, I wish I did this when I started working here 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, or last year
Absolutely.
when open enrollment, when I got the emails, when they announced it overhead. I wish I took that,
Especially with open
you know.
enrollment, because after open enrollment closes in the fall, the only thing that can open it back up for the personal individual employee is if they have a qualifying event. So be mindful of that as well. Qualifying events can look like things like changes in a job that offering you a significantly higher rate of pay. There may be some additional benefits available to you. It could also be things like loss of a job, where you could be going into the option of like your COBRA benefits. It could be you having like pregnancy or adoption, or marriage, any of these like big lifestyle changes where there could be additional dependents that come in, or loss of dependence. You could open up another qualifying event.
Hmm. Interesting, interesting. So after open enrollment, I'm set, I'm ready to go. How do I get injured? What do I do? Who do I call? What do I say? How do I get that money back? How do I get that money designated to what I needed to do?
So it's gonna really depend. That's a huge question.
Yeah,
Huge question.
because I know I'm paying for it every month. Like, where is it now?
Right,
I'm
right.
hurt. Where is the money?
And I
I need the
know it
money.
can sound trivial, but I have actually had employees that didn't know how to make appointments for themselves for some of these services that they're paying for. So let's say you get hurt, or let's just say you need to go to be seen for something, whether it's dental, eye, or
Mhm.
health insurance. The first thing you're gonna want to do is get that card or make sure you have your services information. So after you complete open enrollment during the fall, starting January 1, you will get all of your new cards, all of your paperwork that tells you what your new benefits are. You'll also get a copy of that when you enroll to print that off and keep it. Okay. But after January 1st, be looking out in the mail for your cards. Also, sometimes some of these benefits, like eye and dental, can work off of your social security number. So it may be that when you go make an appointment, they actually ask for that information to make an appointment for you. But keep
Hmm.
that information, because when you go to the doctor, the first thing they're going to want is like things like your member ID, your HMO, your PPO plan. They're going to ask you, are you HMO? Are you PPO? And all of that is on the front of your life insurance card, on your health insurance cards. So
Okay.
keep that with you.
That's interesting because I always wondered how, because I have heard the conversations around departments I've worked in. Like, girl, I did this. I didn't get any money for that. I went to see the doctor. They charged me an arm and a leg for this. How do I get the money reimbursed? Etc. Etc. So a lot
Well,
of.
with the reimbursements, it's going to depend on what you've enrolled in. So, one of the
Mhm.
things that we didn't touch on was the flexible spending accounts and the health spending accounts.
Yes, yes.
And these are kind of cool because what they do is they take you're able to allocate some of your money to your future medical expenses, and it's pre-tax dollars. So what that means, like when you're looking at your W-2, that money will actually be taken out and moved over into that account before any taxes are taken out of that cash. So it's all your money. And because y'all know how we like to look at that gross pay,
Hmm.
and wish it was all ours,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
they take it out of that gross pay section before it's taxed, and you're able to then use those funds and be reimbursed for some of your medical care. Like if you go to the doctor and you have a copay, or if you get some type of special procedure done, or maybe you need to buy medication, like maybe you have to buy allergy pills all the time or inhalers all the time. You can use your flexible spending account monies, your pre tax monies towards that, and actually get a double benefit of reducing your taxable income. So let's say, every year I put $2,000 into my flexible spending account and I make $26,000 a year. That drops me down to $24,000 a year that are being taxed.
Hmm.
Now, one
So,
big thing
mhm.
about FSA and HSA, if you put money in it, it is a use it or lose it account. So what that means is if you put money into that account and by the end of the year you have not spent every dollar in that account, it will
Hmm.
not roll over. You will actually lose that cash. So be mindful of it.
So, all right, you're saying my FSA, my flexible spending account. What can I actually spend that on? Can I like just go to the grocery store, start buying some stuff, buy
All
some
right.
halls and some breath mints? Like, what can I spend it on? Oh, that does it have to be over the counter drugs, or can I walk into any pharmacy and just buy whatever is in a
Absolutely.
pharmacy? Like what?
So
Like what?
check your
What are my
benefits.
limits?
Check your benefits. If they're who they're being offered by. Excuse me. Typically, they will have a list that will give you a guide of what you can buy. But generally speaking, you can cover any of your medical expenses. So if you're going and you're having copays or things like that, you can use it. You can use your card. You can actually swipe your benefits card right there and not even take it out of your debit account. And then as far as like, let's say I'm going to Walgreens or I'm going to CVS, you can get almost anything medically related: bandages, band aids, hand sanitizer, nutritional supplements, over the counter medication, prescription medication. You can also use this for things like chiropractic care, acupuncture, physical therapy, almost anything health related that you can think of. Now that being said, um, there are places where you can actually swipe your benefits card and it'll just take it off like a debit card. And then there's other places where you can't do that. So what you have to do is you'll have to keep those receipts so that you can file a claim and get that reimbursed. And so what you would do is you would take that
Hmm.
receipt from that place, you file the claim, you submit the fact that you paid for it, and the company will look at it, and if it's eligible, they'll reimburse you for it.
Hmm. Interesting. Very interesting.
Absolutely. I mean, even
So,
your hospital calls, all kinds of stuff.
so, so thanks for explaining that. I'm pretty much covered in terms of what these benefits will do for me. Um, the spending account, which I think is very important. A lot of people don't know the benefits of the spending account
Mhm.
and the money, what they
And
could
it's a
use it
little
for, how often.
confusing.
Yeah, it's a little confusing. I've heard many people talking about it, and most times the pressure is always, I have money left, I'm gonna lose it.
Yes.
Most times, that's what the issue is. Like, what can I buy? What can I buy? I still have a couple hundred on the
Yes.
spending account. So
Yeah, you
thank you
do want to
for
do a little bit of budgeting because you don't want to put so much money into your flexible spending account, your health spending account that you actually can't spend, right? So you do want to do a little bit of math, and that can look like I said, things like if you have a certain condition where you're probably going to be in and out to the doctor a couple of times, you could average out copays, or if you know there's certain medications, certain vitamins, certain minerals, things that you always buy, just doing a ballpark, and I would say, and then just going a little bit lower because you'd rather spend everything in that account and have no worries than to be scrambling in December and trying to figure out how many ace bandages and hand sanitizers can you get before you lose your
exactly.
monies.
Exactly. And guys, we will take one more break and then we'll wrap up the importance of investing in your benefit package, the importance of paying attention to that as a young person, as a seasoned veteran. And these are all sterile processing conversations that happen on the floor. Some people have it in private, but I think the more we open these conversations up, it won't be taboo. when you 10, 15 years into a facility and you have no idea what's going on with the money you've been spending all these years, and your knees are starting to hurt, your back's starting to hurt, you understand what your benefits provide you, and you could definitely exercise the options that are given to you. So guys, we're going to go into a small break, and we'll be right back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Psych. Welcome
Wow.
back, welcome back, welcome back. So, Alessandra, break it down for us. Let us know why we need to do this. I definitely understand a little more clearly now. I need to get this stuff signed off on, pay attention to it. Don't just let it pass by, which what sometimes I do. Don't tell anybody. But like, we definitely need to focus on that, because you never know.
You never know.
You never know when something could happen to you. You want your family taken care of. You want that extra. You want that cushion if you can't work. Because I've seen many young guys come in 2, 3 days. It's not only the ladies, guys. The young guys come in and they lift something and boom, oh, I hit my back. And it's like, yo, you're 21. How you hit your back? So like you never know when you may need to take advantage of your benefits.
Absolutely. I mean, and your health insurance benefits covers so much. We're talking about your physical therapy, mental health services, smoking cessation services, drug abuse programs, anything that you can think of to help support you getting into your highest wellness will be covered through there. And so, yes, it is an expense, and yes, it will take money out of your check, and you have to look at that payroll statement and be a little upset about about your insurance and about your eye and your dental and your PPO and your short term and your long term.
Hmm.
But again, it's to your benefit. It's to keep you safe and to keep you resourced. That's why so many people try to get into these positions so that they can have access to these benefits. So don't leave anything on the table that can support you. And not trying to catastrophize anything. We don't want accidents to happen. We don't want somebody that's had to have surgery that they weren't expecting benefits packages. The last thing I want to bring up with it is there's also some additional benefits in some areas, like commuter benefits. So, commuter benefits look like you being able to pay for parking and mass transit services with your pre tax dollars. So, again,
Hmm.
it may look like them taking a certain amount of funds out of your check before they're taxed, and then you're able to get reimbursed for that. So especially areas like what was really big in the Bay Area, where we had employees that would use the train systems to come in, and the buses, and when they would buy their bus passes or their train passes, they were able to take that as a pre-tax and get it reimbursed. And
Hmm.
then lastly, we're seeing now some ancillary benefits that are voluntary. So they may come at a cost. Some of them are free, but they may come at small cost. But things like legal services. So some of them are offering like One Shield and LegalZoom at a discounted rate,
Yeah.
or things like veterinary and pet insurance. And lastly, in that space, you may even see discounted services. So these are typically not things that you have to pay for, but
Hmm.
most of the corporate companies have discounts on things like movie tickets, theme parks, rental companies, airline flights, things like that. So if you really don't dig and look for that page on your intranet or in your HR department, you may miss out.
Hmm. Hold up 1 second. So the key, guys, is to not miss out because this is definitely very important. It's very important. The show isn't filled with all the controversy we usually have, but guys, we want y'all to definitely pay attention to your benefits, your benefit package. Alessandra laid it out for us. If you tune into the show a little late, rewind or just take that little button and slide it back to the beginning, and you will get information on your dental, your um how when to select your benefits, how to include your family on there too, the purpose of your benefits, having a flexible spending account. And guys, this is for your benefit. You may think you know everything, but listen again, and you might be shocked as to little things you may be allowing to slip through the cracks. So, Alessandra, any more information you want to give our listeners? Because I wrote down a couple of things there. I'm definitely going to look at so I know, especially that long term disability. I want to make sure.
Make
I've
sure.
never gotten injured, but you never know. There might be a point where I may need that 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 month disability. Um,
Absolutely.
so I'll definitely look into that because I'm getting old. Um,
Would you look? I got it. That's where our controversy in the show is coming from because age is not
right.
the issue, guys. I really want to drive that home. Like, just because folks are older doesn't mean that they're the only ones having accidents or getting hurt. You
True.
being young doesn't insulate you from that.
True.
And I mean, also, just because we're young, it doesn't mean that everybody has a clean bill of health. A lot of people have pre-existing conditions.
Mm-hmm.
That can look like things like asthma down to,
Mm-hmm.
even ADHD, that all these types of,
Diabetes.
right, come on, that
Mhm.
everybody's dealing with. And so, you don't want to be struggling trying to figure out how to get access to these things. And
Mhm.
it allows you to see the specialist, it allows you to go to urgent care, all
Mhm.
these different things. So my highest advice would be pay attention to those notifications when they come out. You're going to get them in the mail because the hospitals want you to know that it's open enrollment. So you will get pamphlets in the mail, to your home. You will get emails. You will see flyers up. Pay attention to those dates. Don't let it pass you by. And if you have questions, go to your managers and your HR representatives.
Definitely, guys, pay attention. Check your emails. Check to see if your benefits have changed because over the years,
Mhm.
different packages could provide better benefits, or the package you had last year could be cut short, and you may
Mhm.
not get some of the choices or options you had in the past. So definitely, guys, pay attention to your benefit packages. So thank you guys for excellent show. Thank you, Alessandra, for bringing up this good information to us. All I definitely am gonna pay attention to some of the things I took for granted in the past. Um, and thank you guys for tuning in, Alessandra. Any parting words to our listeners
No,
for tuning
guys,
to
thank you
tonight's show?
so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next Wednesday at 7.
So, guys, see you next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Peace.